We are live. What's up, Yang Gang? Welcome to Dystopian America, where we talk about everything that matters to the broke folk vote. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Mommy Yang Gang will be along shortly. She's getting YouTube ready. So we have a huge show today. We have Angelo Mendoza, who's going to be joining us here very, very shortly. And we have Will Lex Ham. We're going to talk about the state of the Yang Gang and what's going on, where he's at now, what's going on with him. Because if y'all know anything about Will Lex Ham, he was very, very important to this movement. And we're gonna get into what he thinks about what's going on right now. But right now, we are gonna bring in Angelo Mendoza. How are you doing today, brother? Can you hear me?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How about you? Yeah.
Doing good, doing good.
Can you hear me?
So let's talk about. Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you good. Let's talk for a minute about what it is that you have on your radar as far as getting in front of Congress to talk about universal basic income.
All right. Well, myself and Hannah Wan from sorority of Yang about a month ago, we started looking at our network and realized that we actually have people that work in Congress, and we know some staffers and stuff. So we decided to actually go and try and get the Yang Gang in front of Congress. We found out that there's a very specific way to do that, and that is to actually ask your congressman specifically to testify on specific legislation. So we started working on that, and right now we're looking at getting speakers to testify before Congress. What we're looking for specifically on that is people that are, everyday people. We're trying to depoliticize this whole thing. So people from, the Republican Party, Democrats, independents, and, on the most important thing is we're looking for people that are relatable.
So I guess what you're trying to show then is like the idea that universal basic income is not a partisan thing, that it's actually something that affects all of us, and it's something that probably has to happen now in the era that we're in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the most important thing about this is we want to make sure that Congress understands that this is a people issue. It's not something that is a political issue. So we don't want to let them be able to use this like a political football and say, oh, well, we want this for the Democrat Party or this for the Republican Party. We want to make this, a universal thing where it's like, this is a people issue. People's lives are at stake right now.
So now, as I understand things, getting before Congress is a little bit difficult because you have to get on the docket and you have to do all these different things. So talk about that process and like where you're at.
All right, so right now we've talked to several Congress people, and the most important thing that they've told us is they can't do anything right now until after Congress is back in session, when they can actually get us scheduled and everything. So as soon as we are able to schedule, we'll be able to get the information, like how many people we're allowed to have, how much time we're going to be allowed to talk, etc. The process of actually getting before Congress is surprisingly easy, actually.
So what does that entail exactly? You say we have to wait until they get back in, which amongst in this era of COVID-19 or coronavirus, whatever you want to label you want to put on it, like, how does that happen? Because, we can't even get them to come back to vote on this stimulus bill or to get something else passed. What kind of time frame are we actually looking at for something like this?
We're looking at as early as next month. So as soon as they're back in session, they immediately are able to start scheduling. So the main thing that we're trying to do is get them right when they come back and get that scheduled immediately. The main thing that we have to be careful with is just making sure that we have a good speakers list and we're clear on our intentions.
So, okay, so like if somebody wanted to get involved with this, is there a way that we can do this? How can we as the YangGang help?
Definitely put pressure on your local congresspeople. Call them and tell them that you want the YangGang to appear before Congress. You want it depoliticized. Push for the bills that we're doing, because testifying is only a small part of this, really. The main thing is once we're done speaking before Congress, to ask for a non-means tested monthly UBI that is significant enough to actually survive this COVID-19 issue. Is we're going to need people to follow up with their congresspeople. We're going to need average Americans from across the board coming out and saying, I support this. I want this because it is important to me. This will help me. This will help my community.
So, like, why is it so important that it be universal and not means tested? Because I mean, let's be real. Bill Gates doesn't need any kind of money. All these rich people, they don't need that money. So why is it so important that it not be means tested?
The reason why it shouldn't be means tested is because by making it universal, it makes it applicable to all citizens. And for even people like Bill Gates, it gives him an incentive or a reason to put money back into the stock market, put money back into the market itself. Because what you don't want is people at the top that are going to be just hoarding money and saying, well, I'm not going to be putting money into stocks. I'm not going to be investing right now. I'm not going to be putting money into business. Although I hear toilet paper is a really good investment right now. But the main thing is to help overall with the economy. And, for businesses especially, you want them to be able to have a customer base when this whole thing blows over, because otherwise we're heading for a recession that's going to make the Great Depression seem cute by comparison.
Let's talk for a minute about, like, okay, now you said that you're in Arizona. How are people in Arizona like taking this whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing? Are they doing what's the government out there doing? He's
Government
got
out
his
here
headphones
went
in,
full
so we don't have
lockdown
delay.
right away. So our state, much like California, is on a full lockdown. Only essential businesses are allowed to be open right now. We do have a little bit more flexibility in movement, but social distancing is strictly enforced.
How are the local businesses faring out there? Are you seeing, like, because like here in Vermont, we're it's the population isn't as dense as it is in a lot of places, but like we're not, when if we do have to go out, we're not, businesses are just like, it's a ghost town. There's nothing open.
Yep. Thank you, Fred. Yeah, the thing is, most businesses here are open. What is considered an essential business is actually pretty wide out here, including, oddly enough, golf courses. But the main thing is a lot of businesses that did have to close, are mostly small, independently owned businesses, and they're the ones that really couldn't afford to close. So right now, a lot of those businesses, there are loans and grants that are being given out, but the grant is kind of a one-time thing to keep employers um, up and running and allow them to kind of keep their employees stable. But it's basically taking on constant debt. So we're getting good loans, but we're getting basically just constant debt that we're going to have to pay back as soon as this whole thing blows over. So without a customer base ready for us to actually be able to serve to, it basically offers nothing except for a chance to fail even harder than we were already struggling before.
If you are just joining us, YangGang, we are talking to Angelo Mendoza, who is attempting to put together a coalition to go and speak before Congress on the importance of UBI for everybody, not for just the poor people, but it's got to be universal, as we were just discussing. Thank you for joining us, Mama YangGang. She is here now.
I made it.
She made it.
How are y'all doing?
So we're talking with Angelo, and we're trying to get a picture of what's going on. And this is not just, this is something that is affecting us all. This coronavirus, this shutdown, and I'm sitting here and I was listening to Fox a while ago, and the only thing that they're talking about is how we must get the economy open, how we must get people back to work, and how people are just, it's crazy town banana pants. But let's talk about that for a minute, Mama YangGang. Let's talk.
You want me to talk?
Yeah, let's talk.
Oh.
Because you have a different theory on this, and you think that if we do reopen, we're going to be entering Spanish flu territory. So talk about that.
Right. So I feel like I got put on the spot. So if we reopen too early, which is what...
Hi,
YangGang! Yay! Little YangGang wanted to say hi. So if we open too early, then we run the risk of... I don't know if you've done any studying on the Spanish flu. There was a second wave, which was much more deadly than the first wave. And that could be us, basically. And we don't have enough data right now because we haven't tested enough people, and we're not doing contact tracing yet. So opening back up right now is a really bad idea for many reasons. We don't have the data to go off of to see if it's even an option. So I don't know how long that'll take for them to get enough tests to get the correct data, but...
And the reason that I brought that up and put Mama YangGang on the spot was because I wanted to ask you, Angelo, like, what do you see? Are people actually obeying in Arizona the what the government is telling them to do? Or because I know from personal experience, I'm seeing people not social distancing. I'm seeing people not doing what we're supposed to do. What are you seeing out there?
It's kind of a 50-50 mix. I'm seeing a lot of people actually social distancing and, keeping their distance, but I'm also seeing some people before the forced lockdown that really weren't taking it seriously, didn't care. They were like, this is just, like the flu, it's not that bad. And we started seeing a huge spike in cases. So the government pretty much said, if you're not social distancing, you can face up to a $2,000 fine.
Wow. That's pretty incredible because on the one hand, here in America, we have this thing, where we're all about our freedoms, and that's absolutely the case, and we should be all about our freedoms. But when it starts to come into this, it's a weird area that we're in right now, because you have to balance, being free with being sensible and responsible as an adult, and I just, it's hard for me to even find that balance, because I feel like, that at some point in time, the data is going to show that what we're trying to do is not helping, and but then you got to balance that against all the deaths that you're going to see. Like, how do you, it's hard for me to quantify that. And it's hard for me to, like, how do you know what's true? Because
we only know what the media tells us and what Trump says. And then you got to try to decipher the truth from all of the different sources. And I don't know. It's impossible.
Oh, man. So where do you fall on this? What do you think personally?
Well, I know for a fact that doctors that were healthy and in their 30s have died from coronavirus, and I'm a parent. I would not want to run the risk of getting infected and then coming home and putting my son at risk, or my mother or grandfather. So it's one of those things where I believe that social distancing is important because we need to flatten the curve. We need to actually get this virus to die off, because without enough hosts, it will eventually start to die off. But until we get to that point, it's just best to keep our distance from people.
And that's where I'm kind of at too. I have to think about my son. I have to think about my wife. I have to think about my family. And if that means that I have to go through this period of time, whether or not it is as bad as they say, I can't take that chance. And I think that's where a lot of us are at. And I feel like that there's going to be this they're going to reopen the economy, right? But there's a lot of us who are still going to do what we're doing right now, and that's social distancing, that's not going out. Yeah. Exactly. And these businesses are going to open, they're going to have their employees there, and there's not going to be any business. Mm-hmm. So that creates a much bigger economic problem than if we just continue to do what we're doing now until this is over. Because the one thing that I believe that Donald Trump and the rest are failing to understand is that the economy runs on people. It has to have people going out and spending money. There has to be consumer confidence. And if there's not any consumer confidence and all these people open back up their businesses, then they're just going to crumble for a different reason. And that's going to be because they don't have any business. Anybody? Somebody want to talk?
Oh, were you looking at me? Well, I didn't have anything to add to that. Yeah. That was correct.
So
Angelo, let's talk for just a real quick second.
The economy, like you said, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about.
Yes.
He stopped because
it's all about
people. It's about getting, money to the people, and it's about getting customers.
This delay is.
Angelo, I don't know if you realize this or not, but you are on like a 5 or 6 second delay because you have your headphones in.
I don't know if it's the headphones.
Yeah, I think it's the headphones, because if you're going directly into the computer,
yeah,
it doesn't have that delay.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think that's what we're experiencing here. And so he's like listening to me, and he's like hearing me on a 5 or 6 second delay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty funny though. That's why we had people talking at the same time.
Awkward.
Yeah, I am on a delay actually. The thing is, I'm not getting any audio from the computer, so I gotta listen to it like on my headphones through my phone.
It's all good. So here's what we're gonna do, Angelo. I want you, if you have 30 seconds to a minute, if you could tell the Yang Gang anything in this moment in time, what would it be?
I would tell the Yang Gang that we are way more powerful than we think we are. We have an incredible network of people, and we are more connected than any other group. Just ask each other for advice, ask each other for help, and come together and put our efforts into something. It doesn't matter what it is. If we are passionate about something and we go for it, we got it. And God help anyone that stands in our way.
There you have it, Yang Gang. Angelo, we appreciate you being on the show, and I hope that we can have you on again, because what you're doing is so very important in the movement of putting universal basic income in front of Congress, and you are absolutely to be commended. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. And by the way, I've been subscribed since before Paget even had her first episode. You were the first person I thought to come to when I saw this and decided we were going to do this for Congress.
Wow. Thank you so very, very much, Angelo.
Awesome.
We appreciate you being on the show, bro. There you have it, Yang Gang.
What if he was about to say something?
He was about to say something, but he was on like a 10-second delay.
Oh,
no. so we just cut that short. That's how you got to do in the media, right? That's how they do.
That's how they do.
You know what? And that's something that's very frustrating about the media, because when I go, okay, so in order for me to listen to the news, basically, I go out because we have Sirius XM on the car, and I'll listen to several different news stations just to try to get different perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll bring somebody on, and the person will be trying to talk, and they have like 30 seconds to get a point across. It's like, what? Like, how do you do that? You know, that just lets me know that the bullshit that you're feeding me is that it's just that. It's bullshit. It's sound bites, man. Yeah. I did want to talk about, let me get this banner off of here. Hold on, Robert Cola.
Robert Cola?
Yes. I got banners switching.
I don't even know what's going on.
I don't even know. So, Will Lex Ham will be joining us here very, very shortly. And as a matter of fact, he is in the studio, but we are going to...
He's in the building.
He's in the building. Will Lex Ham is in the building. And we are going to have him on in just a moment. What?
Sorry, I'm whispering right now.
No.
Okay.
So, anyway,
I'm sorry.
I wanted to address Dr. Shiva. Okay?
Mm-hmm. You're going to go back to the comments?
I'm going to go back to the comments, and we're going to address Dr. Shiva real quick. Man, this is very, very frustrating. I'm having a rough day today, y'all. This is
Isn't this StreamYard? I mean, I like it for a lot of things.
StreamYard is good for a lot of things, but then it's bad. So here's the thing about StreamYard real quick. This is why it's so important for you to tune into the live streams, because these things take a while to upload to YouTube.
Like
so
forever.
When you're seeing this, if it's a video that's already been finished, it's important for you to be on the live streams, because
you'll be a day late otherwise and $1 short.
A day late and $1 short. So Dr. Shiva is an individual, number one, who does not like the Gates Foundation. I'm still doing my research. Robert Cola. I'm doing my research.
Is it Cola?
I haven't come to a conclusion on Dr. Shiva yet, because there's a lot of information out there, and it's a lot to digest in one day. But I am doing my research. So he creates email at the age of 14, code, right? He creates the code for email and gets it stolen, basically, by Bill Gates. He got Nikola Tesla.
He got Tesla.
He got Tesla. Oh my gosh. If y'all have not done the knowledge on Nikola Tesla, do it. He had so much shit ripped from him. It's unbelievable. He got the short end of the stick. And apparently Dr. Shiva has experienced the same thing with Bill Gates. And I don't disbelieve it because I know the type of person Bill Gates is. Everybody wants to talk about how he's this big humanitarian, and he's not. He's not. He's part of the globalist elite agenda. Do the research. So, having said that, right now we're on Dr. Shiva's side, pending further research. Now we're going to bring in the one, the only, Will X Ham. What's up, brother?
What up? How are you?
How are you? I'm
Great.
good. How are you?
Yeah. I'm good now. I've been through hell the past, I don't know, month, and that was compounding on the depression that I was pulling myself out of from like February 11th.
So, I want to talk about that for a minute. You know, the last time that we saw each other was on the campaign trail, and you know, everybody was riding high at that point in time.
Yeah,
you know, we were all, man, we just knew that Andrew was going to be. Yeah, exactly. And since Andrew suspended, like, talk about the cycle that your life has gone through.
Oh, fuck. It was crazy because when you're doing the things that we do, and you're just like out there all the time and just trying to keep up and keep up with like developing news throughout the campaign, for months on end. I went full-time volunteering in September, and so each day, each week, each month feels a lot longer than what it is. Probably like 5, 6, 10 times longer than what it is because of all the things that you're doing. So what you accomplish in a week is something what you probably normally accomplish like in a month's time, you know, or more. So going from nonstop, go to a complete stop was jarring because I was not prepared for it. Like in my mindset, I was prepared for this to at least go through Super Tuesday, you know? So I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things I got to take care of in my life that I'm putting on the back burner because I need to just see this through Super Tuesday at least, you know? And then I'll deal with all my like personal life stuff after, you know? But then all that came crashing, and then like I was just not mentally prepared. I was shocked at how flawed the caucus system was when I was in Iowa, and how poorly we did. I was incredibly shocked at our results in New Hampshire, you know, and I was super confident, overconfident of how we do. And it was just a huge reality check.
That's the same thing that it was for us. I mean, you know, you were talking, man, you touched on so much stuff there that I could just get into with the campaign. Mm-hmm. Like, man, you know, the night he suspended, you know, if you saw the video that we put out after that, it was like a punch in the fucking gut, man.
Yeah.
Because we had invested so much and we had so much belief, and to think that it all just came to this abrupt stop was just like, it was surreal for us, you know, because we didn't, it's like you said, we were not prepared. You know, we were in it for the long haul. When we showed so poorly in New Hampshire, I couldn't believe it because we had invested so much in New Hampshire. Mm-hmm. All the work that we put in was in New Hampshire. And it's just like, man, that was the linchpin to the whole campaign. And when that fell through, and Andrew was right to suspend. He did what he thought was right, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then flash forward, now we're dealing with this coronavirus. We're dealing with this stop to everything that we know.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, in your line of work, okay, you're in acting, you know, and producing. You were talking, you know, I saw one day that you were talking about how you had a project, a producing project with John Malkovich, and like how all that just be put on hold. How has that affected your life?
Well, it affects me monetarily. This is a movie that I've been working on with my partners to get released and with distribution, and it took a little while for post-production on the movie, and it was just we were setting to release it, and you know, I get our investment back from it. It after the first quarter, after the first ticket sales, you know, so in no way or means am I like, you know, rolling in dough, but like all the money that I do have is in there, you know, and you know, when you're, for me, as I consider myself small time considered compared to all these other producers, I don't have like other sources of income. As an actor, it's not so consistent unless you are a recognizable name, which I'm not yet. And it was really, really difficult because I was really depending on that, you know, and for the delay of the release of the movie, really sucks because you know, we can't get anything from it, and now it's just it's to be determined when this will be released. We're looking at a theatrical release, but now it may be a digital release. So a lot of things change, and also the movie that I was working on next, which got fully funded. We had been working over a year to fund this movie. We got funded at $7 million to make this movie. It's it's about Vietnam after the Americans left, and I would also be acting in this movie too. And this film was supposed to got greenlit to shoot at the end of summer, around July, August or so, and now that's on complete hold. And one of our investors, you know, he had to lay off about 1,900 of his employees. So we're not sure about the funding now and what's going on as things keep evolving and changing. But you know, that's an industry that's going to be needed, especially as people are just kind of stuck in this new way of life.
Right. So I want to touch on that new way of life for a second. Since this has started with the coronavirus, and I know Andrew wrote an article, and he was basically addressing the Asian American community, and there was a lot of blowback from that article. And I want to get your personal take on that article, because we believe that his intention was there and it was good. He just used the wrong words. But talk about that article for a second.
And I agree with that too. Like he definitely could have worded that way better. And I think I had a conversation with Hannah a little bit about this last night or 2 nights ago, where like he was like, we get what he was trying to do, and but the way he tried to wrap it up at the end wasn't so cohesive and trying to hint at, I guess, maybe like the project that he's working on, which is this We're All Americans project to address the racism and xenophobia. But when I saw it, I heard about this article and I couldn't read it because it was behind a paywall, you know, and I'm like, I'm not paying for the Washington Post, you know, like I'm not giving Amazon and Jeff Bezos any more money. All right, I already gave them money. I already paid for the Amazon Prime, subscription every year, and now I can't get my items for 3 weeks. Get the fuck out of here. Like I'm not paying for a little WAPO op-ed, piece. Like, so I reached out to like everyone. I'm like, we have an Asians for Yang group. I'm like, yo, does anyone have this article? Does anyone have it? Can someone please send it? No one had it. And I was going to, and I had saw the Lisa Ling interview before I read heard about the article, and I'm like, oh, this is it makes sense. What we have to do as Asian Americans right now is that we do have, like, we shouldn't have to do more, but the fact and reality is that we do have to do it because no one else is going to do it for us. No one else is going to fight for us in the way that we can fight for us. No one's going to advocate for us in the way that we can. No one's going to be building those bridges, and the way that we have to do it. So we have to, the onus is upon us. It's unfortunate. We shouldn't have to, but the reality is that we have to do it, and we have to reach out to white allies, black allies, all allies of all colors. Like, hey, yo, we're going through this shit. Yo, we need you to, like, yo, can you say something? Can you please stand up, with us for this? Because you know me, you know us, So that's what I got from it, is like, okay, we gotta do more in the community because we have to show it. It's like what happened to many of the brown folks after 9/11. It's like, it wasn't their fault, the people in our country, for what happened to the towers, and the destruction that happened. But unfortunately, a lot of America is pretty ignorant, and you have to do whatever you can to save yourself from violence, from attacks, and from racism. Sometimes it is wearing red, white, and blue, but either way, I wear red, white, and blue regardless because I'm fucking from New York, and I'm an American, and I love my country, and I love my colors. I was gonna move to Greece back in October 2018 for a project, and it was my first time leaving New York, and I bought a New York Yankee cap, Memorial Day Yankee cap with my color, with the flag over it, so that when I go around the world, I'm always it'll always remind me and everyone else that I'm motherfucking American. You don't fuck with me, So
beautiful. That's such a beautiful perspective, and I find it incredibly, like, it's heartbreaking because to me, we're all in this shit together. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what color your fucking skin is. We're all the same. And it's been I don't know. It's been frustrating for me to watch this hate that's being thrown towards the Asian American community, because it hits home personally for us. Because since we started this channel, you would be surprised that it's the Asian American community has stepped up so much just to help us every step of the way that we've gone on the journey through our channel. And I don't know. I just wish that there was a way that we could just show the world that we got to end this hate, man. We got to end the hate, because it's not helping any of us.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's calling it out. We should definitely denounce and call out racism and xenophobia, right? But a way to do it where it's not like you don't bring up people's because people hate to be wrong. So in my Yang journey, when I talk to Trump voters, right, I never say that they're wrong. I let them speak their speak, and hear and try to listen to what their grievances are, and then try to, and instead of saying they're wrong, give them a different perspective, give them Andrew Yang, give them a different, a way of looking at their grievances and different solutions for their grievances. So sometimes, you have to do it in a way that is subtle, and it's not like end all be all, but I think the hashtag that we recently pushed out with Healing on Fire. What's his real name? Angelo, right? Angelo and Hannah, and I think Caroline, who really set up and organized this. um, and I love the way they did it was hashtag A American Heroes, right? Because it doesn't say Asian American Heroes. It looks like a misspelling or an added A. So that when people click on that and you see American heroes, you see Asian faces. It's not saying, oh, we got, we're pushing, oh, look how incredible Asians are. Look, you just see it. You just know, like these are people who are doing work, and for so long, we've just been invisible in our country. People just have not seen our work. We are maybe not vocal about it as a community. And that's what Andrew's message meant for me, because I know who Andrew is and I've been following him, so I get what he's saying. But that's what it meant for me, because I'm in this fight, working in entertainment, working to fight for representation for Asian Americans and especially for Asian men. One of my mission statements as an actor is to transform the image of Asian men in Western media, because we've been having a century-long practice of emasculating, diminishing, dehumanizing Asian men in our media. So when I saw the critics of Andrew Yang's op-ed, I'm like, these are the same kind of people that I fight along with in entertainment for representation. And I'm like, how do you not see the forest, how are you missing the forest for the trees right now? How do you not see okay, we do have to do more. We have to show. I'm in show business where we have to show. We have to present things. We have to present a story, present narratives. So we need to show this narrative, present this narrative of Asian Americans who are already doing incredible grassroots works on the front lines, but get no shine and no love because the media doesn't talk about it. So it's on us to show that more, or reach out to allies to get them to help us do that,
You talking about the media, how you said that the media has been emasculating Asian American men for quite some time. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's been a century-long practice. Actually, the first Hollywood star was a Japanese American, Sesu Hayakawa, and he was. It was during the silent films, the black and white films, and during that time, he was the love lust of so many women across the country, and the powers that be were not happy with that. And when the talkies came out, they silenced him and they barred him from getting any kind of particular roles. And and then you also had the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, and during that time, they barred it was the first time the country had barred a race from entering the country, by law, and then you had the media throughout that time that depicted Asian men as rats, as coming to take your jobs, as so then Asian men couldn't get any jobs, so then they had to take more female traditional roles in cleaning and cooking, and open up restaurants and laundromats, but this kind of perpetuation of otherness by American media or Western media has been going on since then. But you'll see it in movies when so many, but I've kind of almost blocked it out of my reality. But you see how they make the Asian men to be nerds, to be unattractive, undesirable, beta males, and all these things that are completely untrue and I don't relate with. So when I saw Asians on the screen in my youth, I didn't relate to any of them because I didn't feel like they represented who I am and who I was. And the only person I've ever seen on TV during my time, even though he passed before I was born, was Bruce Lee. You know, Bruce Lee was the epitome of like what not just the Asian man could be, but like what like a real thoughtful, conscientious human being is, that's pushing their limits of their capacity to reach their highest potential.
And I think a lot of that speaks to like just Western culture, because you know it's so weird to like hear your perspective on this, because I'm sitting here and you're talking about how Asian men have been minimalized and stuff, and then I'm sitting here from my perspective and I'm thinking Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, these motherfuckers are all badasses, you know?
Yeah, but yeah, of course, so badass. But look, even Jet Li, man, Jet Li in Romeo Must Die, right? When he was with Aaliyah, right? They had a kissing scene, right? But the producers cut it out because they didn't want to show him as a romantic interest, like a viable romantic interest. You know,
wow,
so
that's incredible, because that's like the dark side of Hollywood. You know, because we know that Hollywood is basically it's a tool used to shape what people believe. It's one of the tools that the government uses. It's
all media.
That's
all media.
just the way it is.
all media is.
All media, exactly.
All media is media has an incredible power over the hearts and minds of people. You know, it shapes the way people think about themselves and about other people. You know, so another big goal of mine is like, you know, I really want it to have more power in media so that I can use it in a way that helps people find themselves again, find their humanity, so that they can see it in other people. You know, so you know, when Yang didn't have any media covering him, and there was a media blackout on him forever, it was incredible to see like people like you out there just, hey, we need a cover, just covering it. You know, you probably didn't know what the hell you were doing in the beginning at all whatsoever, you know, and figuring out along the way, you know, and actually, you know, as I got more busy, like I only know some of what you guys done and a little bit of your guys' like life story, and this is actually really our first conversation we've ever had, you know. So but my first I think, or most poignant introduction to you was I was just kind of catching up recaps of, like, you know, Andrew Yang's rallies across the country, and you had covered this Boston rally, right? And I loved it because it was for the first time I heard him walk out to this song, "Truth Hurts" by Lizzo, and it was my first time hearing that song too. And the song goes, what does it go? I'm 100% that bitch. Nah, 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 nah. I'm like, who the fuck? Who has the fucking balls to walk off to that kind of music? You know, who the fuck has that balls? Only Andrew Yang has that kind of fucking, you know, gall to just walk out to that music, and it made a lot of sense. You know, that song is about how you know, this woman was tired of this casual relationship that she had with this guy, and instead of being upfront with her, he was completely dishonest, and she was like, you know what? Even though I'm hurt by this, you don't represent my worth. You know, I know I'm incredible, and I have someone else better waiting, like a Minnesota Viking, right? So for me, that's exactly what Americans feel about our politicians. You know, like, you don't need to lie to us. You know, we're not children. You know, you just got to be upfront with us. You know, we know what we're worth as Americans, as citizens of this country. You know, we know who we are, and it's okay. We don't need you guys, because, you know, we have another champion waiting in Andrew Yang. You know, we have someone else coming and fighting for us, and we're gonna prop him up because we know what we deserve.
You know, have you since, you said that you tried to read that Washington Post article or whatever, have you figured that out yet? Have you figured out how to get beyond that paywall?
Oh yeah. I want to shout out to Stephen Wong. He posted the article, like screenshots of it, just not like from it on his Facebook, and I read the whole thing. And when I read it, I was like, because I saw the outrage that happened that same day, and the outrage was just from that one paragraph. And if you just take that one paragraph, I'm like, yeah, it looks fucking bad. It looks real bad, But if you read it in with context to the whole fucking thing, it makes sense. It's reasonable. And as a non-Asian, did you read it? Did you read that thing? The whole thing?
Yeah, we read. Yeah.
Okay. Did it make you feel like, because this is the argument, did it make you feel like Asians are not doing enough and that Asians need to step it up?
No, it made me mad. It made me mad. And I went on a whole rant about it because I'm like, man, fuck it, that's bullshit. You don't have to prove that you're American. You're either fucking American or you're not. You ain't got to prove that shit. I mean, like, do I got to prove that I'm American? Because I'm fuck that, man.
So
no, it made me mad.
When I read it, I thought us and, other people were mainly misunderstanding what he was trying to say. And I was like, it's not what he's meaning. It kind of sounds like that's what he's saying, but that's not what he means, And then he followed that up too with another article or an interview with someone. They put it in a really long article where he got to talk about it at length.
Yeah.
So it helped everyone
that came out
if they read
later.
it.
Yeah, that came out a week later.
Yeah.
And when you're in quarantine and we have this 24-hour news cycle, that's like that's like, it was too late. They were right. But the thing is, throughout this journey, I've been trying to get Asian Americans to look at Andrew Yang because they've been really quick to dismiss him because they feel offended that he makes like jokes about math and being Asian and knowing doctors and shit. But they don't. But the thing is that they didn't understand that math isn't about fucking plus and minus and division and whatever. And that's what is Asian man who likes math. Math, they didn't get that. Math came from make America think harder. And I'm like, you motherfuckers, think fucking harder, please, because you're throwing away without looking into his policies.
I mean, like let's be honest. I mean, that's what America believes. Look. To me, all Asians fucking are smart as shit. I mean, because I guess that's the stereotype that we've been fed. But I mean, like to me, when Andrew does that,
I'm a dumb motherfucker myself.
For sure, me too. But like to me, when Andrew does that, it's more like self-depreciating. Like I like to talk about how we're country,
but in a positive way. Really.
It's using the stereotypes to break down the stereotypes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I came from the conservative side, and people look at me and they're like MAGA, and I'm just like, man, why? Because I'm white and I'm country? Does that automatically
were you MAGA though? Were you MAGA?
I mean, we ain't gonna talk about that.
It's okay. Why not? It's okay. If you were MAGA, that's okay. Like you support Trump and you voted for that.
I did support Trump. I did.
And you
I was a Trump supporter. But to me, MAGA is a mentality. The MAGA mentality is something more. It's different, especially now.
Yeah. What did the MAGA mentality mean? What did the MAGA mentality mean?
Who's conducting this interview, me or you? The MAGA, to me, I don't know, because you can't lump everybody into the same category. Number one.
Yeah.
So you can't say that all MAGA is racist, but there are a lot of MAGA who are racist. If that makes sense.
And
I don't want to be, even remote, like it, I don't want to be in that category. I don't want to be considered in that category, because if in your head you equate MAGA with being racist, well, that's
Yep.
not me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and I get it, man. Like we need to get rid of these like kind of purity ideologies and labeling, and understand that there are like nuances and complexities to a human being other than what we make them out to be. This kind of narrow thinking of, it's just lazy. It's just super lazy, and this kind of super lazy thinking is perpetuated in our media because it's easier to sell.
For sure. And I think that that's something that we have got to get away from, is stereotyping everybody, because in actuality, that's how they keep us divided. They keep us divided by saying, oh, the do nothing Democrats and the Republicans are all MAGA, stupid, racist white people. And the fact of the matter is, most of us are right here in the middle. Most of us just, there's a reason that we voted for Trump. We voted for Trump because, number one, we didn't want Hillary Clinton to win, because Hillary Clinton has so much baggage coming with her. And number two, Trump was
politicians.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I thought there's a lag either on my end or your end, but no, Hillary was like the most hated politician in like history. I think maybe now up until Trump. Trump post presidency.
That's because a lot of people, when they looked at Hillary Clinton, they saw the baggage that she came with. You can't discount the Clinton body count. You can't discount her ties with Epstein and all these different things. And then Donald Trump is getting up there saying something that we all know to be true when he started calling out fake news. We all knew that the news was trying to manipulate us. We all knew that they had their own fucking narratives that they were trying to force down our throats. So because of that, when he started calling out fake news, we were like, okay, now somebody's talking our language. Now we're getting somewhere. Trump's talking about going in there with a chair and draining the swamp and getting rid of all these people who have been screwing up our government for so many years. And that was something that we could get on board with. Without actually knowing. This guy Andrew Yang comes along and he's like, hey, you know what? All these problems have these underlying issues. Here's the underlying issues. And all of a sudden, like, whoa, dude, makes sense. Holy shit.
Yep. That's exactly what Andrew Yang did for me too. Was I knew about a lot of these different problems in different areas of life, right? But Andrew Yang got to the core of it. What was the real rooted reasons for all of these problems, and it was like listening to Andrew Yang speak was like listening to a professor that you really liked, because you really liked because he broke it down in a way that was digestible and easy to understand, So I think that's the true mark of a genius, is that someone that can take many complex issues and put it in a way that's easily digestible for normal people,
And that's really what sets Andrew apart. He didn't demonize the Trump side. He was like, hey, I understand the problems. You feel like you're being left behind. And here's the actual solution we need to put forward. And you hear it and you're like, wow, you know what? This guy didn't call me a deplorable. This guy didn't call me, a racist for supporting Donald Trump. He actually understood the reasons why we supported Donald Trump. And he's actually putting forth solutions that can get us past all of this. And you're like, wow, it is automation, not immigrants that are stealing our jobs. He has such a clear vision. But I want you to talk for a second. Why do you think that it failed? Why do you think that the campaign failed where it did?
I think Andrew summed it up really well in his interview with Nerds for Yang. Did you see that one? It was like two
I did.
weeks ago. Yeah, and a big part of it was that he didn't spend enough time with the talking heads, the media heads. You know, he was trying to reach the people, but what was happening is that like you have all these other media heads who didn't know who Andrew Yang was at all, and he didn't develop these relationships with them, and he was solely working on developing the relationships with voters and with the people, you know. But you know, you have to also understand that as you're doing that, while you're putting that work in, you're having the people being influenced by those speaking heads, you know, who are telling you about, you know, Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders and Biden and Warren and, you know, Klobuchar and all these folks, and they're championing them and undoing the work that, you know, Yang may have done or that we've all been doing, you know. So you know, Andrew Yang had said that if he had wished he had done anything differently, he wished that he would have, you know, spent a lot more time with those who are the representatives of the talking heads that we see on these screens. You know, and that makes sense.
And I agree with that. It does, because there is the Yang media blackout that we all had to deal with and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this whole COVID, this whole coronavirus thing has it basically looked automation in the face and was like, here, hold my beer. I'll show you how to get universal basic income instituted.
Yeah. Crazy. You know, like it was so wild to see when, you know, so when Andrew Yang dropped out, right? He dropped out really in like the middle of the day, right? Or right in the, like in the middle of the count. You know, it wasn't a full reporting or whatever. He dropped out right in the middle of the count, and his dropout took up all of the news. You know, like they didn't really. I still who won New Hampshire? Bernie? I have no idea. You know, because who cares, right?
I think it was.
Yeah, but the news was flooded with Andrew Yang. Like it was flooded with Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang news, right? And then shortly after that, you know, it was incredible because then he became a CNN commentator. You know, like a CNN political commentator, and I'm like, wow, this is so wild. Like when you're experiencing a media blackout for over a year, you know, what do you do? You become the motherfucking media. You become the media, you know. and then it's unfortunate, you know, but like all of a sudden then we have this crisis. You know, it had been ongoing, and I was ignorant to it through January. I was ignorant through February. You know, I was ignorant of it. You know, and when this came down, and I was like, holy shit, it's just pushing all that we've been fighting for the past year and a half, whatever, you know, pushing all that we've been fighting for just to the forefront. It's just accelerating everything that we're fighting for. And now we can talk about it more because people have nothing else to do but to, you know, consume content and listen to it and about it, you know? So now's the time to champion our policies, our humanity first policies and ideas more than ever, you know?
Man, it's crazy. Like, I feel like this conversation could go on for like forever.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you were an integral part of the movement. We were an integral part of the movement. And, you know, we came from different perspectives, all trying to accomplish the same goal. And it's just incredible to think that one person and Andrew Yang could unite people from so many diverse backgrounds and create this movement. You know, Andrew he created us. You know, whether he runs for president in 2024 or not, no
Mhm.
matter what he does in the future, created
Yeah.
something and changed the narrative so much on universal basic income. Like, we are the wave. We are that wave
We are the
that
way.
he talks about. And
Yeah.
we're only gaining steam, you know.
Yeah. And
So
that
where do
wave
we
needs to
go
get
from here?
bigger. That wave needs to get bigger, you know, and hopefully, like, you know, and unfortunately that this COVID you know, crisis is helping people wake up to, like, you know, how much they really need this, you know.
It's unreal. And now we're seeing, you know, there is a bill before Congress that is proposing $2,000 a month for per individual.
Yep.
You know, and I think it's a race against time, unfortunately, because I see Donald
Mm.
Trump and he's like, we got to reopen the economy. We got to reopen the economy. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When that economy reopens, right, we lose that momentum. We lose that traction that
Yeah.
we have right now with universal basic income, because then at that point in time, the government's going to be like, okay, all the help's done from us.
Go to work.
Go to
Yeah.
work, guys.
Yeah, but I don't even understand that, you know, because you know, you're seeing cases in South Korea now where people who once had COVID, right, getting it again, right? Yeah, yeah. So, like, if we reopen and we have not found a cure, found antibodies, I don't know how I really feel about Bill Gates vaccines, you know, like, you know, and you know, it's crazy because if you just reopen, then everyone's just gonna get infected, and we're gonna just get hit with a hard second wave, and that second wave is just gonna hit super, super, like, it's gonna be so much worse than what we're facing right now.
Yeah, and we were talking about that a while ago. You know, if you just look back to the Spanish flu that Andrew often quotes, you know,
Yeah.
the second wave, that was the wave that killed everybody. That was the wave that did everybody in.
Really? Yeah. Wow. Well, how do we know
It,
how much of a space there was between that first wave and that second wave?
I think it was a few months, if I'm not mistaken.
A
I would
few
have to
months?
look it up again, but I thought it was.
but you're talking about, you know, so, you know, say 10,000 deaths as compared to 2 million deaths. You know, the
Mhm.
gap was so huge, the first wave and the second wave, as far as the death count, that,
Real wow.
you know, what I'm saying is, if you start going out there and you start interacting with like nothing happened, it's going to be ugly, and there's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of people that die in the country if we're
Yeah.
not careful.
Yeah, and we're not careful, you know, like, it's crazy. I'm in New York with I came to New York to bunker with my family. And right, you know, this is the epicenter of it all, you know, and you know, there's a ton of people who are, you know, scared, confused, angry. Some people are chill, but there's some people who are just ignorant still to how bad this really is. You know, they're not wearing masks when they're out there. People just kind of trying to carry on life as is. And I've been here now 2.5 weeks, maybe 3. I forget how long I've been here, but I've left the house maybe twice. You know,
That's
if that, just
crazy.
for
So you
just
say
a minute.
that you are in New York with bunkering down with your family, right? Are we talking about Papa Ham?
Yeah, Papa Ham. Yeah.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I sent him, or I tweeted at him a while ago, because I wanted to get him on this live stream to crash it while you were on here.
No, you know, he's taking a nap right now. He's you know, chilling, and just you know, uh you know, he lost all his work right as well. And you know, right now the stimulus check has not come in, and He's really you know, we're like, okay, we got to figure this shit out because you know, we got to buy groceries, you know. We got our water heater, the boiler broke down, you know, we got to take care of that. These are some real kind of issues, and we're not like on the street, you know, broke, poor like that, but this like these are it's scary, you know, and we need this kind of money from the government ASAP, you know, especially with, you know, my mom and my dad. That would be like 2400, and then when my brother and myself get it, you know, that's another 2400 that we can contribute to the household, you know.
Absolutely, and man, you know, it's tough because, like, you know, you're in you act and you're in the entertainment business, and we're kind of in that same vein. You know, we're media, and it's hard for us. It has been such an incredible burden for like our channel and just trying to grow and do the things that we did before. I mean,
Yeah,
man, it's affecting us big time.
yeah. Yeah, where did you move from? You moved to Vermont from where?
We were in North Carolina, and we went down to South Carolina after we had finally decided that after the Joe Rogan podcast that Andrew Yang was the real deal.
Oh
We
wow.
saw that he was going to be in South Carolina at a fish fry,
Hmm.
and we were like, you know what, we got to go down there and meet him. And this was so out of the norms for us, you know, because while we may be politically smart, we've never been politically active. And we heard
Mm,
Andrew Yang on the Joe podcast after he unpacked everything, and it's just like, wow, this guy makes
mm,
so much sense. The most important thing that we can do with our lives right now is to help get this
yeah,
man elected any way that we can. And so we started following him
yeah,
around with a camera.
yeah, and it was absolutely needed because the media was not covering him, you know, and I remember when yeah, it was after the Joe Rogan podcast for me. I was just like, okay, I need to get my like Andrew Yang fill because this guy just talks so much sense, and I love hearing him talk sense to influential people that go on to influence other people, you know, and the way he talks to different people was great because uh, all those different people have different kind of audiences, so that when I go out into the world and I'm talking about Andrew Yang and his policies, you know, and I can get a sense of what their thought process and their ideologies are like, you know, I can give them an interview with a particular figure, or where he answers things in a particular way, to help them see, you know, Andrew Yang. And that's a big thing of what I was doing with a lot of the arts stuff, you know, and I was just doing everything that I possibly could to expand Andrew Yang's like name recognition, you know, so that it would get people to, you know, spur their interest to look into him, you know, because I truly and deeply believe that the only difference between, you know, someone who's YangGang or not is whether or not they've heard Andrew Yang speak. No, and really speak, not just his stump speech, but hear him talk and have a conversation, you know, with someone, you know, and it's just wild that, and but it takes someone to really listen though. But so if you really listen and you're a reasonable person, you know, there's no way that you can, you know, that you can support anyone else. It's just the smartest guy in the room, simply put, you know.
Man,
So
we're so there with you. He's
yeah.
definitely the smartest person in the room. It was evident, you know, every time that we were around him, you know, we came from the conservative side. We came from, you know, Donald Trump supporters, and
Mm,
the compassion, I think, is probably one of the biggest things that stood out to me with Andrew Yang and Evelyn. They are two of the most compassionate people that I have ever had the honor of being around. And You can't be around that kind of beautiful spirit and and not have it affect you, you know?
Yeah. No, and that's absolutely right. But unfortunately, you know, you can't get that, you know, you can't get him in front of everyone, you know? So that means those in the YangGang must also take on that kind of compassionate spirit as well, and that empathetic spirit as well, you know? And I think that's what we should all strive for, especially in like this culture of wokeness, you know, where we're kind of quick to cancel people, quick to put them in certain like boxes of, you know, who we think they are based on certain actions, you know, or certain things they've said. But you know, people are malleable; they change. You know, their views change. That, you know, and we need to be able to afford people that grace. You know, and myself included. You know, I would love to have more empathy and more compassion, so that, you know, I can really, you know, honor and respect someone's voice and their humanity, you know. And I think that's something that's severely lacking in our political and social conversations and discourse.
Man, gosh, I feel like I can just, it's, we have had so much history without having history between like you and our family. You know, it's so weird because we were all caught up in this star named Andrew Yang, and like he just he did something that it's hard to put into words, because it's almost like he was this energy force, right? And he just sucked everybody that around him up into his star vacuum and just carried them along with him. You know what I'm saying? It was so weird.
Yeah. Well, I think it's waking. This is the real. I think this is the real wokeness. This is real woke. You know, like waking up to reason, waking up to our shared humanity, our, you know, our shared time on this planet with each other. You know, and how can we? You know, we don't all have to agree with each other, but how can we create value together? You know, you know, how can we respect each other? And this is what, you know, I've seen it said before, and this is why I consider it as well. You know, this is the revolution of reason. You know, and I noticed that when we get engulfed in anger and in flames of anger, it blinds us from reason. You know, and I've seen it happen within myself. You know, where I get super angry and I say the most unreasonable things that are things that I don't even particularly believe myself, but just because I was enraged, I just said some dumb shit that caused someone else to react in kind as well. You know, and nothing was gained. It was a net loss for everyone.
It's so true, and that's something that I have to work on in my own life. That's something, because I'm like an extremely passionate person, and sometimes that passion comes out in anger, and I scorch the earth, and you can't do that. You've got to have that restraint, and that's, you know, that's something I see in my own life.
Yeah. And but yeah, no, you know what it is? It's we got to find a way, because that fire, that anger, it comes from somewhere. You know, that passion and that fury, it comes from somewhere. So as a passionate person myself, you know, like we have to find a way to take that anger and find a way to create value with it. You know, to really change like that kind of poison into medicine.
How do we do that though?
There are many ways. One, I think it really takes we have to remove our ego out of it, right? It takes incredible emotional intelligence, which I see in Andrew. I think he has the highest emotional intelligence of anyone I've ever met or encountered. He doesn't get bothered too much, by the ongoings of things. But he is driven by the suffering and inequality of humanity. But when attacked, he doesn't react emotionally. He reacts. What is it? Yeah, I don't know how to say it. The words don't come to me right now. But he responds in a way that doesn't cause more destruction.
Right.
So
Right.
how do we do it? I think remove ego,
definitely
listen more. Remove ego, listen more. And what I do is I chant. I've been chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I've been teaching other people throughout the YangGang, and it's something that I share with people in general. It's a very active sort of meditation. It's a Buddhist practice, but Buddhism is not about praising or worshiping a Buddha. Buddhism just teaches that you're a Buddha, or you're an infinite being, and that you have this infinite potential. And if you have it, everyone equally has it. So I've have been able to transform a lot of my fury and anger to empathy and compassion. But it's an ongoing process.
Absolutely. And I was just asking because I want to know how to, just to better help me, because iron sharpens iron, and we all learn from each other. And I was just curious, and you were talking about chanting and how you chant these words, and I always chant Andrew Yang, Andrew Yang. It's like it's like the only chant I know. So I'm gonna stick with that one and try to help me control my anger. What you said was so on point, because Andrew is so emotionally intelligent, and that's something that in our society I feel like has been lacking for a long time. We have not acknowledged the importance of emotional intelligence.
I read both books. Well, two of the books. I read two of the books. Emotional Intelligence and Emotional Intelligence 2.0, whatever it was called. They're both very good reads. They're very long.
Yeah.
But we got to, man, we got to be more emotionally intelligent, because as a society, because we've been so emotionally dumb, I think that's what's blinded us to the plight of our fellow man. It's blinded us to the homeless man on the street. It's blinded us to the kids who are going hungry. That lack of emotional intelligence has blinded us to all those things. And now as a society, we're starting to wake up. And we're starting to look around us, and we're starting to be like, you know what, this is not okay.
No, it's not okay. And I think we've been so out of touch with our emotions, and I think we've been even conditioned to do so as well. Because one interesting thing about our discourse in our country is that we are discouraged from talking about religion and politics, right? Two things that bring up a ton of emotions, and we're discouraged from talking about religion, politics, and also pay, how much people get paid, right? We're discouraged from talking about it because what is it? I think these are ways to divide us. These are different kind of things that if you don't talk about, there is no understanding amongst each other. And if there's no understanding, it's easy to divide. So we can always, count on politics, religion, and maybe pay to work to divide people. And the people who benefit from dividing people are elitists. So racism was created by elitists in a way to have people pit each other, pit people against each other, divide them, and in that way it's easier to have more authoritative control over them.
And so you see that with religion too. It's you got the whole you got to be in this camp or in this church or in this, if you're not believing this, you're going to die and go to hell. Those are all just fucking control mechanisms, really.
They're all control mechanisms, yeah.
If people would evolve, if people would evolve past this whole idea of, being divided, if we would evolve past this idea of letting them divide us, and I think that's one of the biggest things is we have, as a society, we have to be like, you know what, enough is enough. And I really believe that that's kind of what Andrew Yang's movement was all about,
Yeah. Yes, for the most part, I think so too. But, after Andrew had passed, it was unfortunate that I saw a lot of infighting within the YangGang, and a lot of people not giving each other the respect that each one deserves, and not like engaging in civil discourse and letting their emotions run amok.
For sure. We had only allotted like a half hour, and we've gone way beyond that.
Almost an hour.
It's been such an awesome conversation with you, and I hope very, very much that you will come back on the show, because I feel like we've got a lot more to discuss. I think we've barely just brushed the surface of what we could get into. But before we get you out of here, if you could pass along one message to the YangGang, now's your opportunity.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna get through this. And what's going to take for us to get through this is to really recognize how incredible we are, truly value our humanity, and if you can really value your own humanity, there's no reason why you'll act with hate or vitriol towards others. And if you can really move with this kind of love and positivity and value creating, this is how we're going to be able to grow the YangGang. Please continue to listen to voices of reason. Please continue to think harder, and really just keep fighting. Keep fighting. And one thing for me personally is that I am, pretty open to conversation most times, so if you ever have a problem with me in any way, or you hear some bullshit about me, come and talk to me about it, ask me about it. And we can clear things up and have a real conversation, and that's with anyone that you have problems with. Just talk to them.
For sure. And the one thing that I want to tell you before you get out of here is you perked my ears up when you said John Malkovich, because a little known fact about me is John Malkovich is my favorite actor. And when you said you were working with John Malkovich, I almost freaked out. I was like, no way, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna love this movie when it comes out. Right now it's called Last Call. It used to be called Dominion. Now it's called Last Call, and it's about the last days and hours of Dylan Thomas's life. Dylan Thomas was this famous Welsh poet. He was like a rock star poet during the 50s, and he would go around doing college tours, and women would throw underwear and panties at him, whatever, because like he was that famous. And his poem that was really famous, that I didn't really know much about him until I started working on this movie, was do not go quietly into the night, rage against the dying light, yada yada yada, etc., etc. But his life was mired in controversy, and he was infamously known to have drank like 18 double scotches one night and died in his hotel later that evening.
Wow, that's crazy to think about, because here I was sitting here thinking that speech came from Independence Day, when the president was standing up there in front of everybody, and he was like, "We will not go quietly into the night."
Fight against.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, man. Let's do it again really, really soon, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. And I hope you and your family well. And let's get through this. Let's really crush this.
Absolutely, brother. We love you. Take care of yourself out there, and tell
All right.
Papa Ham that we're thinking about him.
You got it. You got it.
Well, there you have it, gang. We heard from Angelo and we heard from Will Lex Ham, two incredible individuals who are working hard and showing and being the example that we're not done. We're just getting started. We have so much to do as far as being part of the YangGang. We may have changed our name from Grassroots YangGang to American Dystopia, but when it comes down to it, that's what we are. We are YangGang through and through.
Mm-hmm.
And we are on board with this humanity first vision. And we must do everything in our power to keep moving that vision along.
And how cool would it be to change our name to American Utopia? And how do we get there?
American Utopia.
That's where we're going, right?
Yeah.
We're not naming it that now. We have to wait until we actually become this utopia that we're striving for.
So absolutely, we should be striving for the name. Y'all help us get there. Share these videos out. If you find value here, consider supporting the channel.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you, Sasha, for the super chat. That's awesome. That helps us keep going. Thank you very much. To our Patreons, our donors, consider supporting this channel or channels like it. We love you, YangGang. Take care of yourselves out there. Be safe. See you on the next one.
Am I doing this right?
You are doing it.
Oh, okay.